welcome to English. I am so happy that you have joined our class. Today's video is going to cover some important information about English, so please stick around. I'll try to make it as brief as possible. Today's agenda, we'll start with an introduction. I'll tell you a little bit more about myself. We'll go into some course information details, Class Connect expectations, assignments and grading, and my contact information. If you look at the bottom of the screen, you can see there are some books here. These are some books that we will be studying this year. We will be looking at, we will be reading together. Depending on your start date, you may actually have started your year with us after we've finished up one of these books. However, I highly recommend all of them. They're classics. They're great. To Kill a Mockingbird and Frank, classics for young readers. This book is actually going to have multiple units involved with this book. And then Romeo and Juliet. And we'll read even more than that, but just wanted to get you a little familiar with what we're going to be looking at this year. A little bit about myself. So first of all, I've been teaching at MVCA for 3 years. So I've been here a while. And I have been teaching 8th grade this entire time at MVCA. I did teach 7th grade briefly last year for a couple of months while we were working on getting a new teacher in there. So you actually may have had me. So if you were at MVCA last year, it's very possible that you could have had me for a couple of months in there. I love teaching English. I love teaching it virtually. It's a lot of fun. I am married, so that's Mr. VandenBerg in that picture, and I have 2 dogs. So one of them is a Wheaten Terrier. She's the one on the right in that far picture there on the trampoline. They love to stand on that trampoline, especially when I go to go on it. They instantly are on it, trying to block me, trying to get me not to work out, I guess, huh? And then Winston is on the left, and he's a little bit younger than her. He is a Labradoodle mix. They're both great, but I will warn you that if you're in my 1 p.m. class, you may hear them. That's around the time the mail comes, and they think that the mail lady is this crazy intruder. They just cannot get over it. So you might be able to relate to that if you have your own dogs, but they definitely are not into the mail at all. A little bit more about myself. I love to read, which makes sense because I'm an English teacher, right? I mean, come on. Would an English teacher actually say they don't like reading? But really, I do. I really like reading. You have to find what you like. Once you find out what you like, you're good to go. So I really like mysteries and suspense thriller type books. And so those are the ones that I mostly read when I have some free time. I also enjoy watching Netflix. I watch a lot of reruns. You guys probably don't even know what the show is, but when I was younger and in school myself, I used to always watch Gilmore Girls, so that's one of the reruns I watch. I also watch The Office, just kind of like simple, not a whole lot of thought to it type shows. Mostly because I'm usually working on something else while I'm watching the show. So I like to just have something on in the background, and Netflix is great for that. I have been a vegetarian for over 10 years now. It's been a long, long time. I barely even remember what meat tastes like anymore. I love coffee. I like to play games. Especially in the winter time, games are great because there's just not a lot to do outside sometimes. It's too cold, or maybe it's sleeting, or whatever might be the case. Games are great. When it's warmer outside, I like to swim and ride my bike. And then you may have noticed this picture on the very left-hand side at the bottom. And if you are a fellow player, then you know exactly what this game is. I will admit that I do play Pokemon Go. Now, I don't play it as much as I used to, just because it's not quite as exciting as it used to be. I think maybe it will become exciting again. I'm not sure. But I I do play every once in a while. My brother-in-law is very into it, and so he taught me all about, who the Pokemon were and how everything works. And I am in the 30s, so I am pretty high up there level-wise. Okay, so that's a little bit about me. Now let's go ahead and talk about why we should study English. So first things first, when you're walking around outside, I guarantee you that you are reading without even realizing it. Or if you're in the car, when you come across signs or whatever else, maybe restaurant names, you're reading. It's very, very important to be able to read. And you're also writing all the time in everyday life. So this might be as simple as a text, or it might be an email. I know that at the virtual school you're going to be emailing with us a lot. Email is usually the primary form of communication for us between the teacher and the student. So it's very important to be able to do these things, but to do them effectively. And so that's why we don't just stop with the English and writing instruction after you learn how to do them in a basic way. But we want to keep building up those skills so that you can have more success in life. You can read more things, you can write more effectively, you can really get your point across. In writing, it's very, very important to be able to express yourself and really use the correct tone, because I'm sure you've gotten that before where you get an email or a text and you think, wait a minute, that didn't come across right at all. So being able to express yourself effectively is very, very important. And being able to read and write effectively is going to help you in whatever future career you have, no matter whatever career it is, I guarantee you. And if you look at the picture on the right, punctuation saves lives. Let's eat grandma, or let's eat grandma. Very, very different. Very, very important. All right, so Class Connect expectations. You will see this visual on the right-hand side in each of our Class Connect sessions. It just gives you a little visual of what our expectations are. It also lists them. Be kind to others, ready to learn, stay on topic. So in our chat box, it's very important that we are staying on topic. We aren't sharing private information. Respect one another, not only in the chat box, but also on the mic, on the whiteboard. Anytime you come across another classmate or myself, we're all respecting one another. Participate. Now, we have to remember we're in a virtual school. So if I was in a traditional school with you guys, I would be able to walk over to you and look at you and give you that look. And I'm sure if you've been in a traditional school before, you know what that look is. The teacher comes up to you and they know that you're not participating, you're not paying attention. So, since I can't do that in person, we have to do it virtually. So that means that if I ask you a question and I tell you, give me a green check, give me an emoji, type it in the chat box, or whatever it might be, if you're not responding, then I'm going to assume that you're asleep. You're not there, you're not paying attention, so you need to make sure that you're participating. And it's going to help you get the most out of this class. Your classes are going to be really, really boring if you're not paying attention and you're not participating. And then finally, be prepared. We'll talk more about that in a little bit, but just being ready to go for English and everything else cleared away, no distractions, and you'll be all set with that one. I love the shiny rules here on the left. It's distracting me. All right, course information. We will have live Class Connect sessions every day, so expect one every day. These are required unless marked otherwise. So there might be cases where the session will be marked optional, and if it's marked optional, then that means that you do not need to come. You can, but you don't need to. There might be other times where you're not invited to a session, so if you don't see a session on your plan, don't freak out. It's very likely that you weren't invited to it. So for the most part, you'll be invited daily, but let's say maybe we have a small group for an assignment that was kind of a struggle for some students, and you already completed it and you did okay on it. You might not be invited to that, but your other classmates might, some other classmates of yours. So that might happen from time to time, but for the most part, you'll have a session every day. And I will be posting announcements as well in your course, so you'll be pretty aware of what's going on. Now, I know we just talked about being prepared, so a specific way to be prepared would be with a notebook and a pen or pencil. Having somewhere where you can take notes is going to be very important for you as we move through our lessons. So you should have a notebook that is dedicated to English, if you don't already. So you can expect to have one lesson to complete a day. Now, for the most part, we are going to complete these lessons completely in class. There will be times where you might have a quiz or a writing assignment where you're going to have to do some work independently on your own. But for the most part, we're going to complete the assignments together in class. So those live sessions are going to be such a great use of your time. And at the end of that class, you'll just be able to turn in your work and be good to go to your next class. Make sure you check your class plan every day. So you should be logging into your English class every single day. That's something that your homeroom teacher looks for to make sure that you're attending your classes, is that you're actually logging into your courses. So it's not enough to just go to your Class Connect sessions. You also need to go into your course and check on your class plan. See what you've got on the plan for today. Okay? So that's very, very important. All assignments must be turned in by their due date to receive full credit. All right, here is a picture of our course calendar, and this is just a little snippet from October. Make sure that you save and print your course calendar. This can be found in your English course within course materials. So when you go to your English course, you can click on content, and then you can click on course materials, and you will see the course calendar listed there. I highly recommend printing it so that you can have a place where you can write information down. You can maybe write some notes, or you can just check it off. I mean, that's what I would do. LC 2.2, Memoir Planning, on Monday, October 9, that's due. I got it done, check it off. It's a great way to keep yourself organized and know what's coming in the future. Unit names. All right, so you probably saw, let me go back here a second. You probably saw briefly, if you looked at this picture, LC Unit 2 Memoir, or GV Unit 6 Verbals and Verbal Phrases. What that means, or what that stands for, is LC equals, it stands for Literature and Composition, aka Reading and Writing, okay? Those are going to be the bulk of our units. So I showed you those pictures at the very beginning of like Anne Frank, To Kill a Mockingbird. Those all fall under LC. So if it's an LC unit, it's going to involve reading or writing or combination of reading and writing. GV units are grammar and vocabulary. Okay? Here's how most of our weeks are going to be organized. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays are going to focus on those LC lessons. Tuesdays and Thursdays are going to focus more on GV lessons. It helps us break up the week a little bit more. And a lot of times, you might have kind of a heavy reading week, so I want to break it up a little bit with the grammar in there as well. So that's usually how things are going to work. It might change a little bit. For instance, in our essay units, I usually don't have GV included with that, just because the essay, I want you to be working on the essay when we're on those Tuesdays and Thursdays outside of those LC classes. Okay? All right. Assignments. This picture up here shows you where you will turn in your assignments. So you'll click on Tools and Assignments, and then you can find the number from there. Check your class plan in each course to see what's due each day. You should have all assignments completed each day by 4 p.m. or it's considered to be homework. Now, I already mentioned in English we're going to do most of them together, with the exception of essays and etc., things like that. All graded items are due by Sunday at midnight for the week in order to earn full credit. So I put zeros in on Monday. So let's say that something was due on Tuesday. Okay? You technically have that entire week to get it in before you lose points on it and before you receive that zero. So on that following Monday, after that Tuesday, that's when all those zeros are going to go in. And then if you have a zero, that means that you were late, and then you'll probably lose some points on it. So try your best to stick to those due dates, and then if you have to take until Sunday at midnight, that's fine. But make sure you get it in before Monday, because that's when I put my zeros in. Zeros. And I mean, I do it. I get them all done on Monday. It's on my checklist. Graded assignments cannot be accepted by email. So this is just a little heads up for you. This is why it's so important to get to know that tools button right there at the top. We cannot accept assignments by email. That's just a middle school rule. It's our policy, so there's no exceptions for that. All right, academic integrity. Because we're talking about assignments, it's really important to address this really quickly. Your written work must be your own. Even if you paraphrase something, which means that you're putting it in your own words, you need to make sure that you cite your sources. You tell us, okay, this is where I got my information from. We're actually going to be working on citing sources quite a bit in English, so if you're not very familiar with how to do it yet, we will be working on it. Every assignment you submit is automatically checked for plagiarism by a web tool. So we don't have to do we don't have to search around, and type words into Google or anything like that. Your assignment automatically gets checked, and this web tool is really, really accurate. I mean, they can find everything. And then finally, there are consequences for plagiarizing work. So usually you'll get another chance to resubmit your work the first time that the plagiarism happens, but then if it happens again, it gets a lot more severe, and it could lead you into a meeting with the principal, cause you to fail not only at the assignment, but if it continues, it could cause you to fail the course. So very, very important that you're not plagiarizing. It's just not worth it. Not worth it at all, okay? And plagiarism, you can see the definition down here. The act of presenting another's work or ideas as your own. Avoid it. Grading! All right, I always like to address this in English because we do have writing assignments. Not everything that we do is multiple choice. So, I grade all throughout the week. I try to grade whenever I have a free moment in the day. I try to grade. I also grade a lot of times in the evenings. I'll take a little time on the weekend. I try to grade as quickly as I can because I know what that's like when you turn in an assignment and then you have to wait and wait and wait to get your feedback. So I grade a lot daily. I mean, I'm grading all the time. You can expect most assignments to be graded within 1 week. If it's late, though, it's going to take longer to grade. So if you turn in a late assignment, I'm going to be prioritizing the assignments that were turned in on time. Now, essays are a bit of a different story. Essays that are turned in might take me longer than a week, so please be patient with me. Don't email me until it's been maybe 2 weeks or so, maybe 10 days or something like that. I try my best to get them in or get them graded as quickly as I can, but they do take a while. So if you look at this grading time, I have over 150 students. And so if you'll notice, 5 minutes per paper means that that's an extra 13 hours that I have to fit in during the week and find that dedicated time for. And I usually take longer than 5 minutes of paper. I usually take between 5 to 10 minutes of paper, so you can see how that time jumps up from 13 to 25. So maybe I'm probably in the middle somewhere. maybe 20, I don't know, 21, who knows. But please be patient with me because I really am trying my best to get those done as quickly as I can. All right. One tip I have for you as a student at MVCA, a new student, is to explore your course. So take some time to look through everything, get familiar with how everything works. So take a look at your class plan, take a look at your content, take a look at your grades. Grades is going to become very important for you as we move throughout the semester, so become familiar with it. Look how cool that is. You see it all listed here. It tells you your grade, what you scored on it point-wise, your grade you received. So check all of this out, and then if you ever have any questions, just let me know and I'll help you out. Contact information. I actually took this picture directly from the English course. So if you go into course materials, you click on teacher contact information, you will find this. Email address, kvandenberg@mishva.org. Phone number, 616-309-1600, extension 1651. I do prefer to be contacted by email, but if you would like to call, that's fine too. Phone calls just take me a little bit longer to respond to, just because I can't just quickly pull that up when I get a second, and respond to a phone call really fast in the same way I can with email. So if you can email me, please email me, but if you want to call me, please don't hesitate. I do respond to all communications within 24 hours on weekdays, and I usually check my email at least once on a weekend. Okay? All right, that's all we've got for today. So thank you so much for your patience, and thank you so much for being here. I am so excited to see you in our live sessions, and I will talk to you later.